Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome back to another video on Modern Warships. I'm The Unknown, and today I'm going to be doing an in-depth review of the new October update. Apologies for the delay. I recorded a video of reviewing the update. It was 25 minutes long, but I didn't find out that I recorded it without my mic until I reviewed the video, and, I got pissed off and was like, damn. So now I'm here recording the review again. Anyways, so there is a lot to go over in this update. I just first want to say that I am kind of disappointed that the devs released an Indian ship in October, because October is the month where we celebrate the 250th anniversary of America's Navy. So it would have made more sense to release like an American ship or some sort of thing, but I'm pretty sure the devs will do some event or something related to that in the future, so I can't complain too much. Anyways, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the review. So the first thing I want to take a look at is the avatars, and there's a lot of avatars to look at. The first of which are the Battle Pass avatars. So first we have the Priest of the Sun, which looks stupid. We have the White Lady. The White Lady, yeah. It looks better out of the two. And then we have the Knight of Light, which doesn't look that impressive either, to be honest. Kind of mid Battle Pass avatars this time around, but it is what it is. Next, we move on to event avatars, and we have, let's see, we have two so far, or we have a few. So we have this Filipino avatar, and it's rumored to be in a bundle with a Filipino Coast Guard skin, which makes no sense because there's no Filipino ships in the game, so that's kind of a slap in the face to the Filipino community, but it is what it is. Next, we move on to the October-themed event. Excuse me, and there's a couple. So we have these two avatars here, which I'm pretty sure, since these are matching and not matching with these themes, pretty sure these two are going to be part of some sort of event, similarly to how this avatar was part of like some sort of container event or whatever. So I'm pretty sure these ones are going to be part of some Halloween container event, along with these 6 avatars here, which are going to be for the main October-themed event, which will be sometime in the middle of October. I don't know when, but yeah. Anyways, moving on to the titles, we have a few. I do have the Battle Pass title equipped, the Inquisitor title, probably one of the best, if not the best, Battle Pass title we've gotten so far, because, the name Inquisitor, I like Star Wars, and, Inquisitor was like they're Star Wars characters. Their job was to like hunt Jedi and stuff. Anyways, we have the Undertaker title, which I'm pretty sure this one is going to be for the October event on the Stage 12 award. And then we have the other titles that are going to be for the events soon. So yeah. Moving on to the fall, we have the Fall Masters 25 Elite, the prize winner and the winner titles for the Fall Masters 25 major tournament, which, by the way, I will be participating in. So, and yeah, so that covers all of the titles and all of the avatars for the month of October. Now, I do want to take a look at some of the shop items. We have, it's all Indians. So first we have the Brahmos ER for 2,500 gold. We'll take a look at that shortly. We have the K5 that is for 8.5 million. And then last but not least, we have a torpedo launcher that is Indian. We have this one here for 4.5 million. This is the same torpedo that was on the other Indian destroyer that was locked. That torpedo is now unlocked and can be interchanged. So with that said, we will go ahead and take a look at the missile and the torpedo. So first, this missile does 26,000 damage with a range of 13.87 kilometers and a reload of 6.3 seconds. Not bad. And then we have the torpedo that does 33,800 damage with a range of 12.13 kilometers and a reload of 9.8 seconds. So without further ado, let's go ahead and test out these equipments. Alright, so one thing I want to take a look at is the lock-on time. So we'll go ahead and go to the ship. It has a decent lock-on time. Same thing with the torpedo. The torpedo has a decently fast lock-on time. It's not the best, but it's not the worst. So let's go ahead and see the damage. 78,000 damage every 6.3 seconds. Not bad. The only complaint I have about this missile is the launch animation. This is a long-range missile. So if you're trying to brawl somebody in close range, this missile with this animation is terrible. It's not going to hit a ship at all. Moving on to the torpedo, we're going to go ahead and test it on the submarine here. As you can see, there is nothing particularly special about it. There's no AoE, there's nothing. It's just another torpedo, which is kind of a bummer. We don't have an anti-decoy torpedo for the shop, and this would have been a really good opportunity to introduce that, but it is what it is. Anyways, we'll go ahead and move on to the Battle Pass stuff now, after I review the Indian Ballistic Missile. Alright, so we have the Indian Ballistic Missile here. This is the K5. It does 58,000 damage, 58,500 damage with a range of 11.7 kilometers and a reload of 21 seconds. That is a lot of reload there. Alright, so as we test this missile on the Yamato, we'll go ahead and launch one and see just how much damage this thing can do. The AoE was reworked. So, looks like we're going to be doing 76,000 damage. Okay, we'll go ahead and launch another one. I don't know why it's doing 76,000, unless the AoE plays a part in that. I'm guessing the AoE definitely plays a part in that. So, yeah, AoE was definitely reworked. It just combines the damage now, which is kind of weird, but kind of cool at the same time. Now we'll go ahead and do a full burst of this sub just so you guys can get a little taste of its firepower and a little taste of the Indian Ballistic Missile, and then I'll give my opinions on it. So as we go ahead and launch all three of these missiles, one thing to note is how slow they are, which is not really the best thing you want in a ballistic missile. However, there are upsides. This thing does have a lot of damage. With that said, I think that the lack of reload and the speed definitely helps in the balancing of this missile. It is hit or miss. You either hit a ship and do devastating damage, or you miss and now you have to wait 21 seconds. But in that 21 seconds, you have a possibility of dying. So I will say that this Indian missile is a pretty good missile, I will say. It's not the worst, it's not the best, but it is pretty good. So now that we got that out of the way, we can finally go ahead and take a look at the Battle Pass rewards. And there is quite a lot of things to look at. First, I will start with the skins. So they're hit or miss. Some are good, some are bad. So we have the Messenger of the Light. And I gotta say, it does look pretty nice. And it's a nice color, but the lack of animation definitely takes away from it. You know, it would have been nice if the eagles, like, flapped their wings or something. But the bald eagles, you know, they definitely look very nice on the ship. That is for damn sure. Next, we have the Premium Battle Pass skin, which is called... where is it? The Crystal Vault. And I gotta say, for a premium skin, this is a phenomenal skin. I love the design of this skin. It's like a very nice pearly marble white with like amber lighting that glows on and off, I gotta say. Probably one of my favorite premium skins that we've gotten in a long time. And then last but not least, the VIP skin. And spoiler alert, honestly, I think the premium skin is the best skin. But this is the VIP skin, Blessing from Heaven. And I don't know, I'm not a big fan of it. There's too much going on. I don't know. There's something about it. I don't really like it too much. Maybe it's the blue, I'm not sure. But you know, it's not a bad skin. I just prefer the premium skin. Now, with the skins out of the way, we can finally review the equipment. And the first on the list is the Pan-Spatial Ramstorm 4. So this is another Kamikaze UEV that does 187,200 damage with a durability of 182,000, with a speed of 43.7 knots, a maneuverability of 1.7, and a view range of 8 kilometers. Let's go ahead and take a look at this capability here. Alright, and after I do the initial test, I will take a look at the more detailed stats, as a subscriber of mine, Kang2828, said that I should look at the more detailed stats. So the first thing I want to mention is that this missile is anti-air, but it's not anti-flare. So now we will go ahead and test the missile damage on the ship, and it is a spam missile. There's 28 missiles total, and they're each launched in a burst of 4, and you can do that 7 times. So let's go ahead and see the damage of the missiles. You're going to be running about 32,800 damage. Now, if I lock onto a ship in the Kamikaze feature, it should automatically make a beeline to the ship. So if we go ahead and take a look at Mini-Me here, you can see that he is slowly making the beeline all the way up, and we can take the time to look at the title some more. Legendary Inquisitor. I do like it when you combine a title like this and the name just flows, like Legendary Inquisitor, or like, you know, Legendary Content Creator. You know, just it kind of adds to the name. So the Inquisitor title is very nice for that. Now let's go ahead and see the damage of this thing. 212,000 damage. Let that sink in. 212,000 damage for a Kamikaze drone. If you're using a ship like the HMS Fearless, the CN Type 071, or the, you know, the USS San Antonio, you're going to be very annoying with this thing if you have 2 of them. Now, with the initial gameplay test out of the way, we can finally take a look at the more detailed stats here. So, a total burst damage of 202,800 damage with a DPM of 382,130. And the aerial DPM is going to be 212,130, which is pretty nice. Definitely better than, you know, the Mars and the CHT-1. And Pan Spatial is an American company, I assume. So that is pretty nice. Now we will go ahead and move on to the Battle Pass drone. Alright, so I have the drone equipped on the RF Typhoon. We have here the S70BM Sledapit, which is a weird name for a drone. But the durability of this drone is 18,200 with a speed of 111.2 knots with an afterburner of 117.6, a maneuverability of 104, a view range of 11.6, an aerial visibility of 4.62, a surface visibility of 4.08, an underwater visibility of 2.45, a stealth percentage of 4, and an aircraft reserve of 3. And if we take a look at the detailed stats, you have a max burst damage of 843,084. That's total, mind you. Potential DPM is going to run you about 3.5 million, with a surface DPM of 933 and an aerial DPM of 860,000. And if we take a good look at this drone, I gotta say, I gotta hand it to the Russians when it comes to the camo designs on their aircraft. This just looks good. I like the light gray with the dark gray pixel camo with the red accents, like the red stars with the red number there, 072. It just looks very nice. And while we're out here, you guys can see that, you know, this drone was made for long range. It has like a range of 9 kilometers, but 8 kilometers, you will have full capability of all the missiles. Now, if we take a look at the top speed, you'll notice that this thing doesn't really have a high top speed. It has about 786 knots, I believe. So it is not the fastest drone. However, it does make up for that in range. And this thing has a lot of range. So while we're at it, we'll go ahead and test the nukes here. Anti-flare nukes, mind you, as if we didn't have enough of those. It's going to be doing 80,000 damage. And then we have the spam missiles, which are also anti-air missiles. And these things do 32,000 damage. And then we have the gliders here, which are also anti-flare. And those are going to be doing 25,000 damage, which leads you to a total of 132,000 damage, as we will go ahead and test right here, right now. 137,000 burst at 8 kilometers is pretty scary, especially since you can't flare like 2/3 of the weapons of this drone. Overall, I consider this drone a W. It's definitely one of the better Russian drones, if not the best Russian drone so far. So yeah, anyways, we'll go ahead and move on to the helicopter. Before we take a look at the helicopter, I just want to say that when I first saw the announcement that another Comanche was going to be added, I had a vision of what this thing would look like, and I was like, oh my god, it's probably going to be the one with the radar on it with like the stabilizers in the back. And lo and behold, I was right, and the devs delivered. This thing looks insane. It looks phenomenal as an American helicopter. I mean, you guys can't disagree. This thing just looks amazing. If you compare this to, the shop variant, it's obviously a step up between this and this. Now, without further ado, let's just jump right into it because I'm excited to review this. So, it has a durability of 14,300 health, a speed of 80.9 knots, a maneuverability of 65, a view range of 8.8, an aerial visibility of 4.17, surface visibility of 3.63, underwater visibility of 2.29, stealth percentage of 5, aircraft reserve of 2. So, and also, we'll take a look at the detailed stats of this thing. Total burst damage, 141,600. DPM, 649,374. Aerial DPM is going to be 312,774. Underwater DPM is going to be 247,500. And if I compare this to the Defiant X, which this thing is being compared to, it has a higher DPM when it comes to the torpedoes, which is something you want. Now, if we compare this to the Z-18, the Z-18, it just doesn't compare to the Z-18. Like, this thing, Z-18 is like, makes the Comanche look like a laughing stock. But yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at this helicopter. So having this thing in hand is just so freaking awesome. This has to be like one of my favorite helicopters now because this was an actual helicopter in person. It just was never used. I think the project was discontinued because of how expensive it was. But yeah, this thing looks phenomenal. Before we go ahead and test the weapons, we'll go ahead and take a look at its top speed. And I gotta say, 540 knots is not bad for a helicopter like this. It is not bad at all. One thing to note is that this missile here, the Spear EW, is an anti-flare, anti-air missile. So keep that in mind. Let's go ahead and test all of the weapons here. We first have the cannon, which you're going to be doing a total of 27,200 damage. Let's go ahead and use the anti-air missile now. You're going to be doing 36,000 damage. We have an unguided missile here, which to note is not an anti-sub missile. And this thing is going to run you about 31,500 damage. And then we have the torpedoes there. 6 per helicopter, by the way, which is going to run you about 49,500 damage. Now, if we combine this with the burst, as you saw, some of the weapons did crit. So let's go ahead and test all of the weapons all at once. And yeah, looks like our little ship here interfered with the damage test, but you guys saw the damage was pretty high. Overall, I would consider this a W of a helicopter. Definitely worth getting. It is so good. So yeah, enough glazing America. Next on the list of review is the first ever German grenade launcher, the Lars TAC-2. And let's go ahead and just jump right into it. So it has a damage of 2,080 with a range of 8.67 kilometers, a reload of 5.25. Not bad on paper. Let's go ahead and see the more detailed stats. Total burst damage, 399,490. DPM is going to be about 2.7 million, with a surface DPM running you about 1.9 million. An aerial DPM of 416. Hold on. 416,000. Whoa. Hold on. No. Okay, here we go. DPM of the grenade launcher is 467,000, with a burst damage of 59,000. Damage 4,160. Reload at 5.25. Critical hit chance is 20%. Detonation radius is 33. Area damage is 200, so it has AoE. An explosion radius of 166. And yeah, there you guys go. I won't read all of it, but there you guys go. You guys can pause the video for the stats. Let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so the first thing I want to test is the initial bullet spread of the grenade launcher. We will fire this straight ahead like so. And as you guys can see, it does have a little bit of bullet spread towards the end of the burst, which is not a big deal for long range, as it is basically compared to a TRG in my book. But yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at the damage to a ship on the surface. 56,000 damage, as again, the critical hit chance there is 20%. If we test it against an underwater target, 50 or 60,000 as a crit. So that is pretty cool. Gotta say, for the first German grenade launcher, it is not bad. Alright, so now we get to the main course. We have the Battle Pass ship, the very first of its kind, an Indian frigate, INS Nilgiri, P-TAC-17 Alpha. And yeah, so let's go ahead and take a look at what we're looking at here. So it does have a 3X missile slot, 1 cannon, 2 grenade launchers, 2 torpedoes, a helicopter, 4 air defenses, and a locked air defense. So this thing has been compared to the F-127. However, I will say I do believe that the new frigate is better, and that's only because this thing has an unlocked cannon, whereas this thing has a purely locked air defense and only 1, and this has a locked cannon, which is garbage. So I will say, when it comes to that, I will say that this is better. Also noting that all of the weapons of this ship are in the front, whereas in the F-127, you only have the cannon and the missile, and the grenade launchers are in the back. So this thing is much more beneficial for hit and runs than the F-127. Anyways, it has a durability of 422,500 with a speed of 27.8 knots, a maneuverability of 9.1 with a view range of 9.6, an aerial visibility of 4.04, surface visibility of 3.5, underwater visibility of 2.69, and a stealth percentage of 5. And then we'll take a look at the air defense here. Damage of 455, range of 4.33, and a reload of 3.5 seconds. Now let's go ahead and take this bad boy out in a match and see how we do. Alright, taking a look at this ship, I gotta say, I do like the looks of it. And I say that because it's not your typical warship where it's like a concept and it's like an overly futuristic design. This is an actual ship. And it looks good. It looks like a modern warship. That is literally like the pinnacle of what the game is called, modern warships. I'm kind of tired of the futuristic designs, and I gotta say this is definitely refreshing for the, you know, the whole premise of the game. And it looks really good too. It's a very nice gray stealth color. Gotta say, it is very nice. Let's see how it performs against other ships, though. Oh, that was a missed shot. Forgot to aim there. There we go. One thing I will say is I do like that this thing has smoke. A very small ship like this kind of... I wouldn't say it needs the smoke because it's pretty fast, but it definitely helps. And this missile does pretty terrible against air defenses. That is not a good thing to talk about on this ship. However, the firepower is there. I do appreciate that 3X slot. It feels like, you know, a Gorshkov with grenade launchers, if you will. But it is directly compared to the F-127, and I gotta say, this is definitely better than the F-127. Just because it has like the unlocked cannon. It's just better, you know? Alright, we're almost dead here. So we're gonna go ahead and use smoke right away, because we're gonna go ahead and attack this guy here. Alright, there we go. Yeah, I gotta say, the ship's firepower is there, but oh my god, its health, dude. Its health gets drained even in offline matches. That's not good. I'm curious to see how this thing performs in an online match. And that launch animation is definitely making the Brahmos ER a terrible missile for close-range combat. Now I gotta go ahead. I'm forced to go this way, you know, exposing my ship more so I can fire this missile correctly and actually have it hit the target. which is not ideal. Again, this is definitely a long-range missile, not so much for close range. There we go. Let's see if we can do 1.1 kilometers. Okay, it looks like we can do 1.1 kilometers. So it can be decent in close range, depending on what position your ship is in. But I still would not recommend this thing for close range combat. Let's see if we can finish this match by getting the kill. Yes, we did. Alright, so yeah, the INS Nilgiri, not a bad frigate. I'm not really a frigate person to begin with, but, you know, it's not a bad ship. I gotta say, I'm impressed. For the very first Indian frigate, it performs well against the other Battle Pass frigates, considering we don't have a shop frigate. But yeah, it is pretty nice. I gotta say, I'm impressed. There's a lot to love about this ship. Let's go ahead and move on to the final thing, and that is the ranked submarine. So you guys heard that right. The ranked ship for the next season is a submarine. I don't know if I should be disappointed or happy that the devs added a new variant of ship to the rank store. But with that said, we'll go ahead and jump right into it. The sub has 429,000 durability with a speed of 21.5 knots, a maneuverability of 8.2, a view range of 9.6, an aerial visibility of 3.83, surface visibility of 3.54, underwater visibility of 2.69, and oxygen capacity of 221. And it has a locked ballistic missile that is spammable. This thing does 22,750 damage with a range of 12.13 kilometers and a reload of 8.75 seconds. Alright, and as we submerge here, I'm going to go ahead and flank to this side of the map here and hide behind the rock, and we'll go ahead and take a look at the sub underwater. So, this submarine is the very first Indian submarine in the game. This is primarily an Indian update, which is very refreshing since we've already had so much of China. Like, we got sick of China, let's be real. Everybody got sick of China. So it's very refreshing to see a different country, in the spotlight. And India is the best option for right now, in my opinion. And yeah, the sub looks really good. I do like the looks of it. It is a bit bulky from the back, but if you look at it from the side, it looks pretty nice, I gotta say. Let's go ahead and test the ballistic missile capability of this thing. So, we're gonna go ahead and test it against this guy first. We're gonna go ahead and launch the missile right here. And these missiles are a lot slower, so we'll launch them about right here. So let's see what we're looking at. As you can see, the AoE, the missiles are definitely heading towards the target. And there you go, ladies and gentlemen. There is the potential damage you are going to do against this monster of a submarine. It is basically an Ohio on steroids, if you think about it. And you can just spam these ballistic missiles just fine, and it's gonna get the job done. Just look at this. It's marvelous, if you will. I'm not really a sub player, but when you have a new mechanic like this, it's kind of hard not to enjoy such a masterpiece of a mechanic. Let's go ahead and test it against the destroyer here. We're gonna go ahead and launch the missiles here. Yeah, of course he's going to stop right there. Alright, there we go. So yeah, we're not doing a lot of damage here, but that's because, like, the prediction you'd have to do against a ships like this speed, it's very hard, to say the least. So let's see if we can kill him in this burst here. Looks like we're not going to be able to. Alright. We're going to go ahead and we're going to have to move. Let's see if we can still end up killing this guy. Alright, there we go. Looks like he's going to end. Yep, it looks like it's going to be a direct hit. There we are, ladies and gentlemen. There is another kill on the board. Very, very, very nice. Alright, we don't have that ship spotted anymore. Let's go ahead and turn. We did hit that ship blind, though, so that's good. See if we can hit him right there. There we are. He's going to stop right here. Let's see if we can take that opportunity I'm going to go ahead and launch the missiles here. And then we'll go ahead and bait him with this one here. Let's see how much damage we're going to do to this ship now. Alright, not bad. Not bad at all. Alright, let's see if we can hit him with the hypersonics. Hypersonic ballistic missiles? Maybe? Yes, we got one in there. Alright. See if we can hit him again. Oh, get sniped. Very, very nice. Very nice. The long-range capability of this thing is sweet. I love the capability of this thing. It is definitely very nice. And I gotta say, again, using this mechanic, it is so nice and very refreshing for submarines. I totally botched that movement. Wow. Alright, we got a little bit of hits there. Oh, he's going to stay right here. This is our opportunity. This is our chance to kill him in one burst. Alright, here we go. This is the kill shot, ladies and gentlemen. This is the kill shot. Look at those missiles raining down on the Glasgow that's using smoke. The last thing you want to do against this thing. There you go. The death blow. So there you guys have it. You know, the full capability of the default equipment of this submarine. And I gotta say, this thing, I did have a little bit of fun trying to predict the locations of, you know, the ships and trying to guess and stuff. It is very refreshing. And I do like this sub, however, I will not use subs. Now, with that said, there is a lot to like about this update. I literally have 0 complaints. I have 0. It's a perfect update. The equipment is very good. The rank sub is very good. The avatars and titles, I don't really count because they're not equipment. Like, you don't really use them. But the equipment is top tier. Now, with that said, I apologize for this thing being such a long video. But if you guys did enjoy this review, let me know in the comments below. And yeah, let me know what you guys' favorite thing is about this update. And I will see you next time. Peace out.